and they made a great sanctuary, built out of stone, within the rocks of Mirnviros, and they named that place Vare Havar, the Blessed Hall, and within it their Yindlers sang many songs of deeds they had wrought. Dreamer, it represents strength, bravery, and a great passion to explore and seek new lands. Your eyes open. You gaze down upon twisted spires of broken, triangular arches, brutal, its edges and lines forming inhumanly sharp, blade-like protrusions across its twisted surface. It stands broken, yet still tall, a tower which expands into the strange pink and purple-hued sky above. Its great spires cascade down into the blasted, sunken landscape around it, until at last, forming into a strangely circular base of glassy stone, great steps lead up from the land below, each as tall as a man in its full height, each smooth, glassy, glinting of the light of the nebulous rays cast down from the sky above.
I'll begin walking forward towards it.
You are standing, it should be said, atop something of a great hill. This spire lies at the base of the ravine far below. The descent, as it would be, will take some time as you move to find a way down amidst the blasted, craggy landscape about you. You see there a strange formation in the rock of that spire, which conjoins with a rising tower, a place where it opens horrifically, rended stone splaying outwards like a gutted animal, revealing a dark maw which extrudes from the surface of the great tower itself. This monolith's presence on the stark landscape about it seems so alien, so different in its architecture and form from everything else you have witnessed in your time within these strange, fevered dreams. You
Ray,
find. Go ahead.
Ray,
As you speak the name, Relre speaks then into your own mind, forming words of your own speech which your mind can comprehend, smoothing, calming, and silky. What is it?
this tower, have you seen it before?
Something strange happens then. Liquid drips from your eye and down your cheek, running down your chin, and then it seems to form on the surface there. As you look down, you see the body of a small, almost feminine, childlike form splay across your skin as it looks up at you. It shakes its head. No, I have never seen this spire. It is different than the land about it, as though it was placed here by something or someone else.
Shall we go inside? I'll look down.
You look down at the extruding maw. As you do so, you feel almost compelled, as though that spire in its dark forms and parapets calls you down into the vale below.
I'll begin to walk.
You begin walking along the outer rim of the crater leading into the vale. It should be said that the only way down is a series of steep, strangely cut switchbacks, which, in their own way, zigzag across the stone until at least reaching the base level of the veil, which then still further descends in a sort of bowl-like shape until at last it reaches the spire in the very center of it all. Rela speaks. It is as though it itself has blasted the landscape around it, shattering it. The land was not always this way. Once it was smooth and flat, a listless sea of rock, which reflected the beauty of the sky above. And then something changes as you begin to move down towards the tower. Something strange. The air seems to be filled with static. Every movement you make charged with a strange prickling jolt of electric motion. The sky above slowly begins to swirl and spiral uncontrollably, and the air itself, which you breathe, begins to crack and then begins to shatter silently away. You hear a gasp from your shoulder as Rilra takes the air itself, and then she yells as her mouth and eyes form on your cheek. Malvera! Malvera! She
What is going
says.
on?
She looks around. You scan the landscape as well. Vanduin, we must find cover.
I'll begin running for the blasted spire.
Too far. That's almost a couple hours' walk.
Mm.
There's an outcropping of rock not too far from you, shattered, glassy, sharp against the landscape.
I'll dive for it quickly.
You begin to run, rushing for it. You pull yourself against the stone of it, out and under, as light explodes around you, color enfolding you, the world itself opening up its deific maw to swallow everything whole. Blue fire begins to leak and rend from the fissures in the air, violent, maddening fire that dances and flickers with strange, wicked intents. You feel Rilra coming forward, dripping down and over you, her nebulous form binding with your own as she enfolds you in a caress of starlight. And then, nothing but a warm silence, which echoes through your mind as her ichor crosses your eyes, blinding you from everything that happens around you. You no longer see the light, your vision now darkened, and you are caught in a field of void-like beauty. Within it, Relra speaks to you, with a strange, maddened cadence to her voice. Malvera, Malvera, he consumes.
What is it, Malvara? What is going on?
A breaking. The worlds come together. The dream is being shared. From beyond the veil of her flesh, which now coats and covers you like a blanket, or like a second skin, you can hear the wailing of the wind and the breaking of the world itself. On occasion, a shock of electric violence runs through your body and you tense against it. Body contracting, muscles aching. The dream. The spear of two halves touch, and the light peers through the crack. And then, at last, in a moment it seems almost to pass, Rilra retracts, her body slithering back into your eyes and mouth, down your nose and between your legs as she re-enters you. You watch as the shadows of her form slip off of your skin, entering and becoming so intertwinably linked with your own self. You feel a strange, comfortable darkness cascade down your body, strangely distorted by the color of the landscape above. It's over. We are safe now. But it grows more dangerous the closer we come to the fold.
I'll stand and look around.
You look around. Within the comfortable darkness of the landscape, the light now gone, you see the spire, gruesome and tall. Its length gleams with violent golden light which seems to ripple across it, and then, as you watch, gently, it expires into a delicate mist of lustrous, luminous radiance before vanishing completely on the air. The tower seems almost to drink in the light, and then it moves slightly. Its almost phallic length seeming to shift and alter as it trembles, and then again grows completely still. A hiss from Rora. It waits for us. It is alive, Vanduin. As alive as you or I.
Let us go to it, then.
Yes. You move away from the cascading of rock you were just under, pulling yourself back, extricating into the light of the strange nebulous sky above. You find your way to the switchback leading down again, and with that strange conjoining of the dream now past, you find yourself moving towards the descent, slow, inexorable, as the dark tower below awaits you like an old friend, arms outstretched in an intimate salute of camaraderie. And then you feel the shift, that strange ascension on the air as your body grows light and as your mind grows tired. And you know at last you are coming to wake. Go ahead.
I'm fading, Ray.
Yes, but I am here, within and without, regardless of which dream in which you are held. Wake now. The new day has come for you and for I. And then you are lifting from that place in time, coming forward. So, so light, you think to yourself, as color cascades around you. And then, at last, your eyes open. You are comfortably lying on your bed, the bright light of a Yuna peering through your balcony window. The Havare is quiet, your room is strangely silent. Something feels a bit different, like an electricity on the air. Something incredibly odd. Wrong.
I'll sit up very, very slowly and look around my room.
You sit up and turn, and then you see it. Freezing. A nebulous, beautifully curved woman is lying next to you. You gaze into its strange amber eyes filled with dancing shadows, taking forms and shapes you could never imagine, its tongue lolling out, its full, sensual lips pursed. You blink. It's gone. You're staring at the far western room of your wall, which is littered with stretched hide canvases, dried oil paints, and other painter's tools. You're alone. Completely alone. The figure gone now.
I'll sit up and shake my head. Oh, get yourself together, Vanduin.
You are naked, but this is nothing new. It is too hot, too humid. Even now, in the morning's cold air, you are sweating, perspiration dripping down your forehead, your breasts, your hips, all sticky and clammy. From, and then you tense. You hear a noise, a slight creaking, slow clamoring. Your door is opening. The barest amount, inch by inch, as someone behind it pushes it. It's your
Who's
move.
there? And I'll take the sheets of my bed and kind of cover myself with them slightly.
You cover yourself. After the loud statement leaves your lips, a gasp behind the door and then a laugh. Oh, I am sorry, Vanduin. The door opens. I meant not to wake you. You see there Yarle. In her hands, clasped between them, is, well, a bucket full of water. She grins as she looks down at it, then at you. I almost
Oh,
worried that you were not going to wake before the time at which we were to arrive at the safari. She grins.
so what were you planning to do with that bucket then?
She
I'll grin as well.
shrugs. Oh, nothing. She looks down at it, thinking for a second, and then shrugs. Ah, best then not to waste the effort. And then she flings it over you. The entire bucket, the contents of the entire bucket splashing across you and onto your bed. Cold, cool water, a lot of it drenching you from neck to knee.
I'll quickly stand from my bed and move over to just away from it, trying to avoid the incoming blast of water
You move
somewhat.
quickly. Go ahead and roll. No bonus. You're tangled up in your
Uh,
blankets.
yep.
You manage to roll out of bed, the blankets tingling around your feet, around your chest, around your arms, almost enfolding you as you fall onto the ground. A bit of wind is knocked from you, but you manage to dodge most of the water, it should be said. The throw, of course, was too unexpected to dodge it on a whim. Still, you're not quite as, well, wet as your friend may have intended. She laughs high and piercing. Good, good. Or as the Onvir would say ho, she says in a mimicking voice. She puts the bucket down and moves her hands between each other, wringing them. Now then, if you would get dressed, I do not wish to wait longer for breakfast.
Yes, yes, I will be right there, Yarley. Give me 2 seconds.
She grins and steps out of the room, not to impose on a woman's honor, though I've seen everything already, she says, closing the door behind her. I have to make sure the Altan or the the Mirkari accent doesn't turn out Russian, but
Yeah.
female Mirkari accents are way more difficult than male. I can do a male in a second. Female's a little more difficult. Moving on.
I will stand and try to dress myself, find clothes that I usually wear when I go to
You
train.
wrap the gunlari you normally wear around your neck, then placing it over your left breast, you pull up your training robes. These also cinch around your right breast, and the gunlari tucks into them easily enough as you pin it in place. They do not come down past your knees, and they are loose, open, and just past your crotch, they become almost translucent as they become lighter and thinner, as to not make you sweat. They are sleeveless. Your shoulders down to your fingers are bare. Outside of that, you wear simple enough foot wraps, and underneath those, sandals, as the stones within Aelavar can get quite hot in the streets during the morning and the midday.
Is there anything else I should be taking with me?
Your Cephalari equipment would be left at the actual ring itself. Outside of that, any weapons or effects, of course, the Ottervar is, as always, even when you sleep, hung around your left shoulder and under your right breast, the hilt poking
Hmm.
out there. That
Good to
never
know.
leaves you, even during training, even during your time in the ring. Although, normally you bind it down with another piece of cloth, tying it so it doesn't move on your flesh. Once
Well,
this is done, go ahead.
yeah. As soon as I'm finished, I will not wait any longer, and I will head out to meet Jarle and Yonvir.
It is a windy day, it should be said, though that brings little consolation. The movement of the wind is nice, but it is a hot wind, it should be said, filled with moisture and the smell of the bay. Fish and salt intertwining with the scent of incense which pervades through most of the streets of Ayelavar. Great pyres of the stuff being burnt day and night across the expanse of the city. This, of course, is good for the agriculture of the Southland, as the necessary crops which are burned to produce these scents are farmed in abundance and then sold to the local priesthood of the Venorian faith. You step outside of your door. There, you find Yarle waiting. She is dressed in similarity to you. Translucent robes, of course, thicker around the breast and crotch and the midsection, open on the back as to allow some flow of air. And she does not wear a Gundari, it should be said. Very rarely do the Mirkari do this, not quite understanding the importance or significance of such a cultural mark. They choose to bear more of their skin. She looks you up and down, then nods. Well, you may seem the barest bit bedrazzled, but of course that must come from your waking state. I assume that you slept well, since you slept in.
Yes, I did sleep well, but let us go to training. Come, come.
She
Breakfast
shrugs.
first, though.
She
I'll give
nods.
her a, I'll give her a slight, like friendly punch on the shoulder a little bit, playfully.
She nods. Alright, then looks to you. She pushes you a bit. I swear on Varahavar's hairy, or on Varahavar's hairy balls. If you keep getting up this late, they're going to, well, he's going to put us through our paces again and make us take laps around the entire city, not just the pavilion.
It's healthy to sleep, and it's also healthy to do your running. I'm looking out for the both of us.
You say that with such joviality. Well, yes, here we are. You and her step into the small breakfast chamber. It should be noted that the Havari that you both currently share is small. There are maybe a half dozen rooms in the whole place, but it is more the location of it that matters, and the fact that you have a balcony window, which in fact is a rarity when it comes to rented Havaris. You find yourself looking to Yare Hyama, her full name's tattoos. Dark and strange. Her neck is covered in the image of a threaf, its beak rising up onto her chin in a sharp black line. His startlingly blue eyes and the pale hair of a Fami Miri. And two of you sit down at the breakfast table, and there a few servants attend you. Food is simple enough. The last bits of a thickened breakfast soup with stewed vegetables, grapes, and bits of fish. Well, more than bits, it should be said. There's almost 3 full fish for each of you. You have to eat quite a lot to keep up with the training. Any less and your bodies would wither under the lack of, well, necessary calories.
As we eat, I'll look up to Jarle.
Shit.
Before
Go ahead.
you, before you were on this sort of diet, sort of food
I
did you eat?
ate meat, she says,
You ate
grinning.
meat. Hmm.
Cabra, no fish. None of this stinking bird of the sea. No, no. Cabra, fleef. On occasion, Rooney, if I could get it. She shrugs. This diet of fish and paste, it does not fill the belly. And she grimaces then.
Stinking bird of the sea.
I miss, most of all though, ale. Salir, made of half silk, sweetened with honey. She grimaces at
Oh,
that, looking down at her food. A person cannot live on water alone. It is poor vice. Poor vice indeed. I swear, after the Faitana of Evren, you and I are going to find a place and have a drink.
I look forward to that.
She nods.
I am getting tired of eating this simplistic nonsense as well. I'm used to a more refined taste.
She nods, and then she gets a bit more serious, her eyes narrowing. I saw Virlen this morning,
Oh,
training in her Havari. She is scary, Vanduin.
which one is she again? Hmm?
Hmm? Virlen Vodaldet, the champion of the Saranti Garo. And they have picked a nasty one, that. She is short, but I watched her take out two other Seflari. She grins. I might have been spying in illicit area, but I like to get
Oh,
information. Slipped over the fence when no one was looking, and back over again later. She gets up almost 2 hours before us, Vanduin. 2 hours. And I thought my sleep schedule was wrecked.
hmm.
Or was sorry, wrecked is a modernism. And I thought my sleep schedule was screaming.
Well, let her be tired, whereas we are full of energy.
She mumbles as she eats. She did not seem tired at all to me. And that is what disturbs me. Her
Hmm.
endurance is astonishing. She grins. I wonder how she is in the bedchamber. Probably relentless. Like a Norasil at hunt. She grins at that.
You. Vanduin blushes a little. You are. Oh, I swear,
Ha!
Jarle.
I forgot. All of you Easterners are prudes. She takes another drink of water. I swear, we should take you to Upper Shallen House, Vanduin. The women there. The boys and men, she says, grinning. Skilled. I hear they are skilled. She winks. Of course, I don't know that they are skilled. That would be breaking of our, well, the rules that have been set about us.
Yes, we shouldn't do that.
She snorts. No, not at all. Still, my mind keeps going back to the Galvalne.
The Galvalne.
Galvalne is the term for the champion of the champion of a Havare. In this case, most likely Virlin is what she's referencing.
Yes. So, what worries you so about her? She seems skilled, yes, but so are we. Did you notice anything about her that we could, I don't know, exploit? That we
Well,
could.
she stands no taller than a dwarf, she says, grinning. At least in, well, she says, looking you up and down. At least when in comparison to yourself and to me. She is
Mm-hmm.
quite short. Bad reach, but she makes up for it by only being defensive. She will only strike out and counterattack, it seems, but she's quick at this. Very deft. I think. I think. Hmm. Now I will think on it a bit longer. She shrugs.
Just be sure to tell me once you come around to those thoughts of yours.
She
I could use the
nods.
advice. I smile.
formulating advice to my closest rival, who challenges me for a position of Galvane of the Vicente Garo? She grins. Now that would be a scandal. We are
Mm.
supposed to be at odds, remember? Not friends.
Yes, yes. We're supposed to be. Doesn't mean we have to be, though.
She shrugs at that. Well, the decision shall be made soon enough. In the meantime, I've eaten my fill. Let's find our way to the Spiros Viran.
Yes,
That
yes.
she
I'm
pushes
full as
herself
well.
up. That she pushes herself up. The servants come, taking food and drink, and Yarle stands. The two of you make your way out of the Havare and into the warm breeze of the morning. The month of Nalan is hot, and well, less than pleasant, it should be said. You already find yourself sweating, even with your meager dressings. The two of you walk down the road. You come to a steep incline, a dip in the road, which leads down a steep street. This obstacle you walk every day, down it and up it. In the morning, of course, it is filled with, how shall I put this? The sellers of wares pushing their carts, crying their goods. There are the finest Garigalne sellers in all of Aelavar here, selling candied fruit and fine wares. You see a few Gunlari salesmen as well. Tailors, fresh from their workshops, now selling in the morning while it's still cool enough to be bearable. A few children and older men and women peruse the street here and there, and you can see one of the many gardens of the pavilion of Eirvin near to this place. Just to the east off the side of the road, the path leading to it down a steep, winding embankment. Yarle looks to it. Sometime we should try to find, well, the time at least, to make our way down among there and see what lies. I've done very little exploring of Aelavar since I arrived. That I feel regretful of.
I've done a little myself. Not a lot. Not as much as I'd like. Having heard so much about this beautiful city, I'll splay my arms out and kind of like twist a little bit in the street as we walk.
She nods. It is too bright here. I miss the banks of Miri. I miss the Gungetter. I miss the cool shade and the tall trees. The smell of pine in the spring.
I too miss Mithri. Not the Jalicate, not Prakandor, but Mithri. I spent my summers there, out in the wilderness.
She grins. You
With my people.
say that there are horses grazing in every pasture.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And
Every single one.
she grins. And you say that the women are tall and fierce, just like you.
Just like me.
She grins at that, looking you up and down. I would have my hands full, I think. And then she looks to the street ahead. You continue walking along the road, and eventually you see it. The Spiros Viraran, a great red stone tower, painted brilliantly with colorful and decorative sort of designs of blue and gold, which reeve up and down its red length. You know that near to it lies the Sefare, nothing more than a small pavilion, perhaps maybe a couple 100 feet across and wide. There, the Envir waits, you know. Eventually, you arrive in front of its tall gates, and the Seflari outside, who recognizes you, opens it quickly for the two of you to enter. Do so, you and, well, Yarle. stepping into the pavilion, the gate closing behind you.
I wonder if we have gotten here before the old man.
I doubt it. He always comes early. It
He lives
seems,
an
at
hour
least.
away.
He nods, or she nods. A fact he is not light to tell us.
Yes.
I feel as though I have had it told to me on a daily sort of. Huh. Her words wander as she thinks for a second, and then shakes her head. I forgot what I was saying. I am a bit off today, I think. The two of you. Go ahead.
Don't worry about it. Let's just take our minds off whatever bothers us in train. Come.
She nods. The two of you come before the great Sephril, which splays across the ground. In between the rings is a pit of sand, the color of blood. Standing on the other side of the Sephril is Anvir Vicenti. He is a thin man, his eyebrows bushy, scraggly, his tavish beard flowing out across his collarbones, well kept, braided. His face otherwise is pinched, his strangely deep grey eyes always seeming to take everything around him. He looks at the two of you. You see that he's holding a red candle in his hand. A ceremonial gesture. He lights it and places it on the ring of Galavin in the center, before turning again. Seflara, you have arrived. Good, he says with a grin on his face. We can begin the morning breaking. That he cracks his knuckles. You and Yarle begin the morning stretches, limbering with the man, each of you making sure to go through the different forms and postures as precisely as possible. You don't want to rip or tear muscle during the practice of sparring. That would lead either you or her incapable of performing in 2 days. You take extra care even. When you're done, he turns, nodding. You were on time for once. Any particular reason? Perhaps you wanted to apply yourselves today for once.
Indeed, Onvir.
He nods. Good. Now, come, sit, he says, sitting before the red candle. His prosthetic leg crossed across his flesh one.
I'll quickly move and sit before him.
You sit down. He grins, looking between the two of you once more. Now, you understand the importance of today and of tomorrow. You understand the legacy that is being weighed on your shoulders.
Yes, Onvir.
Good. 3 victories has the Vicente Garo won. 3. 1 each year. Before that, a series of horrible defeats. Not even placing in the top 3 in the ring. Now, we have a chance to extend our legacy farther. I, for one, do not want to be on the side of history in which our streak is broken. That would be a shameful thing, don't you think?
Indeed.
Then, you must apply yourself with greater discipline today. But I insist you do not push yourselves to the point of exhaustion. You need your strength. Tomorrow, you shall fast. No drink, no food. You may have a pinch of salt each, no more. And if you are to ingest water, simply wring it through your mouth and then spit it. Do you understand? You must be light on the day to come.
I'll nod to him.
Yarley nods as well, looking a bit glum at that. Now, last year, we witnessed quite the event. The finale. Do you remember it? You were there, if I remember correctly. You had arrived, and you had. You were there, in fact, for the Faitana of Evren last year. A large event, spacious, full of exuberance and joy. The celebrations were giddy, loud, almost uncomfortably cacophonic, it should be said. Yarley was there as well, though the two of you had not shared such a close bond at that point.
What exactly is he referring to when he's asking?
I simply asked, do you remember it?
Yes. It was quite the spectacle, Onvir.
Yes. Do you remember how the champion moved? How his foe fell? I had never seen Yonin Ul toppled with such grace. And who is the man who performed such a feat?
I assume he's referencing Ulrashar.
Urashar Vicente.
Ulrashar de Vicenti.
He nods. The man himself. One of the best that the dynasty of the Vicente has ever produced. He is as quick as a Nurasil, as unrelenting and as strong as a fleef. His poise and form are like a hot wind.
I hope to only be as half as good as him.
A quarter would suffice, perhaps. He is a rare and prodigal son of the house of Vicente. And that is why, my dear Aliras, he shall be taking my place today. From behind the man and out of the pavilion which rises in front of the Sephril steps a young, handsome man. His face is all sharp lines, his chin solid, his brow soft, his hair long, his eyes a strange moss-green color, so different from anything you've seen before. He steps across the stones. You see around his gunlari wrapped a red band of metal, beautiful, shaped in the likeness of a circlet. The Crimson Antilch. He looks between the two of you, arms crossed, and then he grins widely and laughs. This is all you've brought me, Anvir Vicenti. What am I to do with these two? The Anvir turns. You are to whip them into shape the last day. Make them fit. Teach them that which you know. And that, Ulrashar nods and steps over to the Anvir's side, to kneel next to him and look between the two of you. I see determination. Good. But let me see more than that. Here. Show me the forms of the Seflari, he says, reaching behind him and pulling forward two wooden Seflari blades for practice. He places these in front of you. You take the blade, and he nods, grinning. Good, good. Now, Seflara, stand. Show me the form.
I will stand.
You stand. Yarla as well. The two of you stand maybe a blade's distance away from each other. You begin to perform the traditional dance before the crossing of blades. This is a precise thing. 1 millimeter off. One step taken wrongly or at the wrong time could lead to injury. The blades come almost as close as skin as the two of you weave them back and forth, spinning around each other. A practiced dance, a ceremonial thing. When it is done, your blades come up, encircling each other, forming a connection between the two. Hers low, yours high, as the insides of your blades touch almost perfectly. Olersha nods, standing, grinning. You see he has his own blade at his waist, tucked away in his belt. He turns to you first. Good. Your form is solid, but I would expect nothing less from a student of the Vicentigaro. But how is it in the motions of combat? When you are set against another, and not simply with a dancing partner. Slowly he unsheaves his own Seflari blade, and then goes into a crouch. Why don't you show me?
I'll take a second to take in the words before nodding to him with a little bit of a bow. And then I'll crouch as well and get into a stance, ready to ready to go down. Yeah.
The stance, it should be said, is thin. Leg forward, leg back. Your body turns sideways to present a smaller target. Shield in one hand, up at your breast, blade held forward to judge distance. He is the same. The two of you crouched, circle. You will circle 3 times before the beginning of the bout. His
As
eyes. Go ahead.
as we're circling, I want to kind of size him up and also recall how he fought back in the arena as well.
He is
On
a.
top of that,
Go ahead.
just trying to you know, be on my best form and present myself in the best way possible.
He is a reactionary duelist. He counterattacks. He waits to knock your blade aside and then stab you through the chest. He likes to go for the midsections, not for the legs or arms. He likes to get up close, if possible. He's got a few inches on you in reach, too. That is disadvantageous to you.
All right.
You circle once, twice, and then a third time. It's your move. As he does not seek to strike out.
Hmm. I want to go for a feint. Is that a thing
Yes.
I've learned?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
a
of
primetime Olympic duelist.
Primetime
You can
Olympic
feint.
duelist, yeah. Yeah, basically I want to try and like
Where are you feinting?
yeah, because if I'm going based off what I've seen of him, he's going to try to like strike out towards my midsection and counterattack my blow. So I want to be prepared for that, and I'm going to, you know, kind of strike so he has to react in a way that it gives me an opening with that. So I don't want to get too technical with it, but
You're good.
um, what I will do is I will I'm just trying to. Yeah. I'll strike low.
Just strike
And,
low for like a leg.
Actually, no. That's bad because he has reach on me. I'm gonna strike like high, like shoulder level.
Okay.
And then feint and bring it. Yeah, actually no. I'll strike low and then feint and bring it up.
You're gonna swing down for the
What I'll
leg,
try to
bring
do.
it up, and try to bring it into the armpit or side. Then
Yes,
okay, go ahead and roll you a bonus.
and that is a 15 if I remember while dueling,
Yes.
or is this while in combat? Okay. Okay.
All right. Very well. Okay. You feint down towards his leg, then bring the blade up and towards his chest. He brings his blade down in a sideways motion, catching your blade and sweeping it to the side. So much quicker than you. It's almost blindingly fast. And then he steps in and brings his blade up and towards your chest. Go ahead and roll.
With a 15.
Yes. All right, let's see how close those are. Okay. You have time. You can block. You can parry the blow if you wish. Or you
Yes.
can step out of the way.
I want to parry.
You parry, bringing up your blade, knocking his blade to the side. It's your move.
Yeah, I'm going to take advantage of that and quickly strike, counterattack.
Go ahead and roll. He needs to chill. Ooh. It's still not close.
It's still not close. Fuck.
Well, it is close, but this thing is you're rolling within like 10 of each other every single roll so far. Anyways. You go to parry, and they're going to strike in at him. He ducks under the blow and then brings his blade, or brings his foot forward under your leg and hooks it around the back of your ankle, trying to slip you up. Go ahead and roll. Oh, finally. Roll not great.
I'm gonna reroll
Oh,
that.
okay, go ahead. Okay. He gets his ankle behind yours, but you manage to set your stance heavy so he can't pull you off balance. You're now almost intertwined with him. You can't bring your blade to bear, he can't bring his. It's your move.
I'm going to. We're kind of like interlocked now. I'm going to try and pull him and try to fuck his weight up.
Okay.
Get him off balance.
You have an advantage to this because of Dunvara. So he has no bonus in this regard.
Ooh.
Ooh. Would you hate me if I told you that you only beat him by 26?
I mean, I would expect nothing less.
Well, he has no bonus, and you beat him by 26.
No bonus, even. Yeah.
He's rolling really good. Which makes sense. What was your exact move again?
Yeah, so, like, he tried to step in and pull me off balance with his leg, right?
Yeah, so his leg is behind yours now. So your knees are basically interlocked in the back. The backs of your knees are touching.
I'm going to pull the same move he just tried on me, on him.
Since your legs are intertwined, you're just going to try to
balance.
pull him off balance.
Yep.
Okay. He flexes his calf and slams his foot down, crouching even lower. His head is basically against your belly button at this point, as he sets his weight to not let you pull him backwards to get him on his back. Then he reaches up underneath your armpit with one arm and tries to twist, pulling you sideways. Go ahead and roll. Also, none of this right now. None of this is illegal in the ring, but it is not normal. Okay. He cannot budge you. Your stance is too good. Your form too strong. It's your move.
Okay.
He's got his arm underneath your armpit, his leg twists about your other leg. You're basically both balancing almost on one leg each. Your blades just can't be brought to bear. You're basically flat-chested against each other. His head is pushed against your chest, it should be said, to gain purchase.
Gotcha. I'm going to try and pull him back, like step backwards and pull him towards me and try to, since he's pushing his weight into me, I'm gonna try to pull him.
Makes sense.
And
Go ahead and
throw
roll.
him. Yeah.
Well, if he fails any roll, it's this one. Oh, never mind. You try to pull his weight forward.
He unentangles his other leg and then steps back as you try to pull him forward. Basically, he's too sweaty and your arms can't gain purchase on the back of his body. He slides out of your grip and then steps away and begins circling again. Not going to strike. It's your move.
Okay. This time, I'm going to try to move in and block his blow when he goes to throw one at me and get back into kind of like, well, no. I'll test the waters a little bit. I'll go for a just a simple strike. Not kind of not overextending myself too much. Probing. Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and roll. You have a plus 20 on this because you're not getting in range. You're just probing. Okay. You swing out, gauging distance. He gently slides back, bringing up his blade, and going to parry your blade. But you didn't push forward far enough. His blade doesn't meet yours, as you don't overextend it. He now has his blade in front of his chest. Both his left and right sides are open.
Ooh, yeah, I'm moving in and I'm taking that second it pops. I'm going for his sides.
Alright. I'm going to re-roll mine.
That was also a 20. I don't know if it was meant to be a 15.
You have one re-roll, by the way, left, if you would like to take.
I will take it. Is it a 15 or a 20?
Well, it's a plus extra because he's open. So it's 20,
Okay.
then 20, so it's 40.
40, okay.
Yeah, because you're getting the bonus for him being completely open. You have to roll it again if you're re-rolling.
I'll roll again. Yeah, yeah.
It's going to be 51 or higher. Oh, man. Failed by 8.
By 8! Fucking fuller shard.
His rolls
Putting
are
up a
really...
good fight, though.
I'm rolling really well. You bring the blade forward, but he was expecting this. He lowers himself down, crouching under the blow, and then stabs his blade forward, up, and towards your stomach. Go ahead and roll.
What bonus?
Just the general defensive bonus. I will say you haven't used the shield at all yet. Neither has he. You've just been using blade work.
Yikes.
Okay. Let me see the differential there. 41. That's good enough. He stabs forward the blade, and then you feel it just gently touch against your belly button as it pokes you. He grins.
Dead, Cephalata. Except for you wouldn't be, he says, standing up straight. That blade wouldn't have killed even the weakest fly. But in the ring, you are not trying to land a fatal blow. Simply touch your opponent. It is the unfortunate nature of the sensibilities of the modern day. Still, you are spry, fast. I appreciate your use of feints. Do you understand what I was trying to accomplish?
No, I do not. Could you elaborate, please?
Who is the most dangerous opponent you will face in 2 days' time?
What was her name again?
Viren Valda, or Valvadot,
Virlen Valvadot, I believe.
I may have the name wrong, but don't worry about it. He nods. And how does she fight?
Defensively.
Yes.
Like you.
No. A bit like me, but even more so. Like a scared deer. She will not even do as much as lower her blade for a second if you are not swinging at her. She will remain solid, gauging distance. She will wear you down. She will defensively attack your strikes, but not you. And then, her superior endurance will take over, and she will strike then. It's a nasty way of fighting, and not a crowd pleaser, it should be said. In fact, she is very much hated by most of the other competitors for the unentertainingness of her sparring, but it is effective. Now then, allow me to represent the other champion you shall be fighting. Lif al-Lasisa. He goes into a new stance. Blade held at the midsection. His body solid. He moves stiffer now, a bit slower. He looks to you, grinning. Shall we?
I'll nod. A little bit of a bow again. And take my stance.
He comes at you fast, swinging high, going through your shoulder.
I will defend.
Alright, go and roll. Remember the Sethi has a bonus.
I don't remember if we wrote it down or not.
Sethi should be a plus 20,
Plus 20. Okay.
but only defensively. That's depending if you are defending with the blade or with the shield. Alright. You try to bring up the shield in time, but he is incredibly quick and you were not expecting him to attack you. The blade slips by the shield and cracks into your shoulder hard. You yelp, pain flaring in your side. Then he steps back, grinning. Again!
I'll stretch my shoulder a bit and then retake my stance. Ready this time. Planting my feet.
He gets into stance. And then he bowls forward, not bringing his blade forward at all, but instead bringing forward his shield towards your sword, trying to tackle you over.
I'm going to try to avoid and dodge.
Try to dodge the bull rush. I will say the unconventional nature of what is being thrown at you is completely off guard.
Interesting. Okay.
So I'll give you a -10, so whatever your bonus is, plus that.
So 5.
Yes. I will say doing the same thing to other duelists will have the same effect. You're not prepared for this kind of thing. He bowls you over onto the ground, shield smashing into your chest. Then he brings up the blade and stabs it down towards your collarbone. What do you do in defense? You're used to being on your back in a defensive position because of Anfora. So you don't have a negative from this position.
Yeah, I'm going to, try to pull his leg. Get him on the ground with me.
Okay. Go ahead and roll.
Anfora, what is my bonus there? Sorry, let me see.
You're good. We'll get used to it as we play more. You can also just make hotkeys later.
Did I not write that down either?
For now, call it a 10.
10, okay.
Okay. You grab his leg, twisting your own leg around it, and bringing it up against your chest. You now have the option to torque it, twist it, or pull it sideways if you want to.
I don't want to injure him, so I'm just going to try to, pull it to the side, get him to the ground.
Okay, you've already got him on the ground.
Oh, he's already on the ground?
He had you on the ground. You grabbed his leg and pulled him sideways, basically.
Pulled him sideways, and yeah, he's down, so...
His leg is currently between your legs, held in your arm against your chest. You are incredibly fast. He was not prepared for your groundwork to be so good.
Gotcha. And then I'll just go for, his blade is still in his hand, right?
Yes.
Try to disarm.
Go ahead and roll. You bring up your 1 foot since you have good leverage and kick his hand hard. You watch as your foot collides, the sandal colliding with flesh, and he yelps, dropping the sword to the ground. He doesn't have a blade now, but he brings back his other leg
and tries to twist it in between your legs with his to pry your legs open. Go ahead and roll. Also, he's rolling really bad.
So am I.
It's okay. He managed to get his leg between your two legs and pries you open at the knees. Then he moves forward, over on top of you, almost pressing against you as he grabs your wrist, holding your own blade, the one that you weren't using to grab his leg. He tries to wrestle the blade from you. Go ahead and roll.
So close. Get so far.
He barely manages to do so, and then swings the blade down at your shoulder as he lays atop you, in almost a sensual position. It's your move.
So he's
Roll.
got
You
my
can
blade
you
right
can
now?
try and grab his arm. You can try and roll to the side. You can try and push him off balance, since he's in between your legs currently. So he's like over the top of you, if you on your back, in between your legs, bring the sword down towards your shoulder.
I'm gonna try to break and get out of this, so.
Okay. So scoot forward then, probably.
Yep.
Or scoot downwards in between his legs.
Downwards and move through.
Okay,
Yeah.
go and roll. You scoot downwards, and in between his legs, the blade hits the sand, sending a scour of red sand in every direction. He then turns his back to you. His blade is to the right of you if you wanted to try and grab it.
I'm gonna move, like, in that motion of dodging, I'm gonna move for his blade. That was what I was trying to go for, is
Okay.
get a weapon back in my hand.
Alright, you grab his blade, and then? He has to
has
turn
he
to face
gotten up yet?
No, his back is to you right now.
I am going to place, if I have the speed, I just want to, like, place it gently towards his neck.
Okay. He has a
Like-
negative 30. You have your bonus. He has his negative. Go ahead. He loses by enough. Okay.
Okay.
You rolled really bad too. You spin around, or you thrust yourself between his legs, sliding over the sand, grabbing his blade, turning and swirling. You bring the blade up into the back of the nape of his neck. He freezes, stopping, and then laughs.
Good, good. You understand the weakness of such a bold assault. If it fails, and the two of you become intertwined, it seems your groundwork is good enough that you will be able to overcome.
I will win on the defensive against this opponent, I believe.
He nods. Lif Aunlesisa comes from Mirkar. You are not the only one, it seems, Jarle, who has come from the Far East to compete. Perhaps the two of you will meet in the ring. Now, you and I shall go. The two of them set stance between each other, going for the motion of dance before the blades touch. Then, the two take a step back and begin to swing. She swings low, feints high, similar to your move earlier. Her blade is deflected by his, and he brings his shield forward, trying to hit her in the chest with it as he steps in close. He manages to push her a bit off balance, and then brings his blade forward in a diving sweep. It catches her just in the side, softly, and she gives a tisk. Too slow. She pants a bit, then stands up straight, the bout over in seconds. He grins. Using the same trick she did. You'll have to improvise more. It's too readable. The feint is good, and you are quick with it, but you are not fighting a normal person. He grins. He places his sword in the sand then. I have won in the ring now. I am no mere sparring partner. But yet, both of you come at me as though I was a normal opponent. That is admirable. Though perhaps a bit hot-headed. Still, there is tact in your movements. I am pleased to see it. Now, I think we shall move to Anvir Senti's favorite part of the day. Forms, he says, sheathing his blade. Yarley grimaces, muttering under her breath, and turns to you. I was hoping for a little bit more than just forms from Orashar Vicente himself, she
Well,
says.
maybe we'll learn something new from a different teacher.
She nods. The two of you get your blades and begin moving through the process. As you do, Orashar grins, turning away from you, ignoring the forms completely as he
Hmm.
moves towards the pavilion. A few minutes later, he steps back out of the pavilion, carrying 2 large buckets of water under his hand. He laughs and then throws it over the both of you. One over each, so that the heat of Oyuna does not scorch your skin. Come, come. Don't make me get more, he says, grinning. Not that either of you would mind that. You yourself are sweating profusely, going through going through the forms. The scorching heat of the sand reflecting off and into your eyes has become dizzying. You're used to it, but still, it is difficult. Still, he pushes both of you through forms, over and over, for what seems almost to be an eternity. Constantly, whenever you feel yourself growing too hot, he disappears into the pavilion and throws more water over the both of you until the sand under your feet has become caked, sticking to your skin. You feel yourself gasping for air, and then at last, he yells, "All right, enough. You may sit and rest. Come under the shade of the pavilion," he says, stepping under its roof.
I'll hurry over, breathing heavy.
You come under the shade, sit down. Yarley throws up onto the stone, wrenching a bit. Steadying herself, wiping sweat off of her brow, she staggers over and sits down too and lies on her back. Olashar laughs at that. Have I really put you through your paces that hard? The 11-pointed ring will have less mercy than I. You will need to learn to pace yourselves in and outside of the ring. But at least, tomorrow at last, you have a time of rest. I suggest tonight you eat well. Thou, once again, no drink. You understand the rules, he says, nodding.
Yes. Hmm.
He brings a bucket of water in between the two of you. Drink, drink, or else the heat will get to you.
I'll quickly move over to the bucket of water and, scoop some into my hands.
You drink, your parched throat crying out in agony, and then release as the water pours into it. Yarley quaffs from the bucket, just diving her head into it and drinking deep. When she pulls her face out, her hair falls down her back in a wet, tangled mess. Ulrishar laughs again. You drink like a common animal, like a livestock. No grace. He shrugs. Perhaps that bestial nature within you is what we need to tap into. As I see it, there are 4 contestants which this year pose the greatest threat. Of course, the first is the Surante Valgalne, Virlen vo Naldet. She's
Mm.
shorter than both of you, but faster than you as well. She has poor reach. She compensates for this with a longer blade. It's heavier, but this makes it a bit unwieldy, as her shorter arm cannot compensate for the angles that it must hit. It should be said that she'll prefer to wait and counterattack, but you know this. She'll take advantage of any slip in guard. Any strike that isn't precise, anything that leaves you open, she will see, and she will swoop down like a hawk. You can't
How
wear
do
her out, but you can outrange her.
How do we get her to overextend herself? How do we get an opening?
Perhaps play her own game. Frustrate her. That's what I would do. She refuses to attack. You refuse to attack.
Battle of the mind, then.
Yes, of course, you can only delay blows for 11 seconds. After this pause, both contestants will be felt in contempt. You may be able to have her chicken out, but it's a dangerous game to play. She knows it as well. But I know that she is haughty. Her victory in the previous year most likely has grown on her shoulders. Her ego is well with it. She may be prouder, more open to strike, if she feels disqualification will bring her greater dishonor than defeat. This is a possibility, but I would not take it as direct advice, just a concept to be muddled over in the mind.
Interesting.
You can
And what
all...
of the other opponents?
He grins. The Arvaldi champion, Yaletti Arvaldi. She's slender, lacks good endurance. She's very fast, ferocious. She tends to outclass her opponents with a more stylistic series of attacks, her forms more elaborate, like dance. She'll seek to overwhelm you with a ring or with a fast ring of flurry or flurrious blows, unpredictable, unexpected. But because of this, she often leaves holes in her guard. She covers these holes with the elaborateness of her cuts. She distracts her opponents. When you are watching what she is doing, she is watching nothing more than the openings in her own form. She is performative. She tends to distract, to wait for positional mistakes due to the elaborateness of her form. But this, of course, is both a boon and a weakness. A more measured and defensive approach could be viable. She has a similar reach to both of you, it should be said. Let's see. I would say your third most dangerous opponent is Lif Anlesisa. She comes from the eastern lands. She probably has the best of endurance of anyone who's training in this competition. She's a trained warrior. I've heard she's killed before. She'll have that instinct about her. She's vicious in the ring. I hear that some people have taken to avoiding sparring with her for the sake of how many injuries she has dealt to other Saflari. She is a bit clumsy, but she's very fast, strong. She doesn't gas out, and in general, she doesn't mind taking you to the ground, as you've seen. But it should be said, her footwork is incredibly poor, and she keeps her assaults going, preferring to use her days as a soldier over any form of meditative practice. You'll see less of the elegant form and more of the ferocity of, well, one who has taken lives in her past.
I see. Hmm.
Do you have any thoughts on the matter?
I have a few.
Mm. Share them.
With her, the Mikari. Maybe best to meet her ferocity with practice and elegance.
Perhaps. She may also simply lose in the first flurry of blows. As I said, her footwork tends to be poor. I have seen her trip herself up more than once. But this is not a reliable solution for defeating her as an opponent. It should be said if you can keep her turning, keep her moving, she may gas out, eventually. Or trip herself up. One thing is certain with her. She will come at you before you come at her. And she will meet you when it comes to the number of blows. But I think she's expecting people to be defensive. To shirk back from her offensive might and her ferocity.
So, if one were to meet her with the same level of ferocity and try and go on the offensive, especially since her footwork is not the best, forcing her onto the defensive, that
She
would
may
be
not
that to their
expect it.
advantage.
I have a feeling that she has tried to build this reputation of hers as a dangerous duelist to perhaps lend her somewhat in the ring. If she does not think that others will strike out at her with the same level of violence, or she thinks you meek, not wishing to be, well, injured. She may seek to find a mental advantage that she's been culminating over a series of months now. It is possible, though I think no one to be quite as malicious as that. She's Mercari after all, she has honor and sensibilities.
Despite her ferocity, she will not fight untowards herself.
I think not. Still, we will see what comes. My advice of her is hope that she goes out in one of the lower brackets.
I am
Prince.
more worried about the Saranti.
Gjellet or Virlin Vonaldet.
Yes.
She is worrisome. I heard she trains against 2 Seflari each morning,
Who?
and she beats them both handedly. The perks of a defensive stance, though also a gimmick. 2 will clog the ring. It is not large, and you cannot use as many sweeping blows without accidentally hitting perhaps your partner. She, of course, may be overusing this form of training once again as a form of mental strategy. Those who hear of it may think her twice as good, when in actuality, the opponents she is facing are, in their own way, being detrimental to one another. And of course, there is the last and the most important of champions, which is entering into the ring.
I'll look to Yarle.
Yarle nods.
Yes. Calavara Joustia, daughter of the Itavar's second son, Kaverian, is entering into the Vaitana of Erven.
So the rumors are true. I
Yes,
heard this was going to be a especially important occasion.
she is eighth in line for the Itavar itself. Someday, if she is lucky, she could rule all of the Tavern. She has,
Yeah.
I have heard. Oh, you are saying, Vanduin.
And yet, she comes down to fight with us. Interesting.
It is a matter of pra. It is
Indeed.
also a matter of family business, it should be said. The Aitavar wants more control over Yelavar, and they want to show their strength, sending one of their own to compete in this competition is merely a motion for them. To show that they are as good as all of us, as practiced, as deadly. In the case of Calavara, I have seen her fight. She's skilled in the style of the Easterner, and the Tavish know how to duel. As you would rightly know, Vanduin, you have most likely witnessed more blood spilling in the streets of Procandor than anywhere else you have ever lived.
Yes, I have.
They are skilled, tenacious. To say that Calavara Jalstia has no flaws would be an understatement. She is tall, lithe of form. Speaking from the perspective of birth and blood, she is built for it. Her diet is flawless, and she puts herself to her practice as though her life depends on it. I have never seen someone train half as hard. She's lean, slender, quick, and her endurance is something to speak of. When it comes to fighting her, I would simply pray to Eivren or to Viraron that your hand that day is quicker. Because there is no strategy I can impart to you that will prepare you for the ferocity of the Jalstian princess.
And this is her first fight, Anna?
Yes, but not her first duel. She has
I
earned
imagine.
much pra within Brakandor. I hear that she has won almost 8 bouts, 5 of which were Farefian bouts, to the death.
Have I ever
This...
seen her around?
You have
Or
seen
like,
her on occasion, yes, actually, as you were in the Jelisate, and the members of the Brakandorian family are in the Jelisate. She is a very beautiful woman, tall, slender, tan-skinned, with pale blue eyes and dark black hair. You've seen her duel once too, though, of course, in the tavern, duels are done with longer, slenderer blades, meant for piercing, not slashing. You watched her take a man through the heart, and then sip wine not too long afterwards.
damn.
It should be said, though, you have witnessed the coldness of the Jalstian rain. A lot of them seem detached in your eyes of the Idavar. You would never say this in public, it would get you beheaded. But the Jalstians are not the most liked Idavarians that have ruled. The current Idavar himself is well liked. Keravin Joustia. But his sons are not. They have caused many problems in the court, and most people dare not speak of these things. Many of them are haughty, selfish. Their egotism and pragmatism are eclipsing, even when it comes to the nature of Pra, and they are hard to rule and rein in by their father. There is one of them who is, at the very least, human, it should be said, in his actions. That being Callian Jalstian, the third youngest of Karaidir, that's his name, Karaidir Jalstian's sons. The rest are unfit for rule, is the whisper in the court, the very quiet whisper. This woman is similar to her father, cold, imperious, deadly, and beautiful.
Typical Tavrish.
At that, Orshire gives almost a small little snort. I am Tavrish, though I am a Vicenti bastard. Perhaps that makes me less Tavrish than I would like to think. And there's a bit of Westerner in me too, he says, grinning, though you've probably heard the rumors.
I have. How Tavrish are you, though, to have grown up in Ealavar, might I ask?
Well, most people think I'm a Larish. Perhaps it's because I don't grow a beard. He shrugs, stroking his own chin. I personally prefer the clean-shaven look, though it is not in style. He shrugs at that. Anyways, these are the 4 most dangerous participants you will see this year. Each is a force to be reckoned with. And honestly, it's best you pray to whatever thing you believe in. You don't meet them to the later brackets when they're tired, when they might slip up. But I have faith in both of you. And I will say that Vicenti has won at least one title for the past 3 years now. I do not plan to see the day when we finally lose that streak. And I think neither of you wish that either.
I will do my damnedest to ensure a Vicenti victory.
He nods. Good. It's getting later in the evening. Soon I have to make my path back to the Havare. I have work to do. But, for now, use what is given. Take what is not. You cannot simply wish this. No matter how hard you train, you must remember. You must outmaneuver your opponents. Anything less is to take chances that we cannot risk. He stands then. I have something, he says, nodding.
Oh,
Yes.
I'll stand.
1 second. He turns to both of you, and then, reaching underneath his training robes, he pulls out 2 red silk gunlari. He hands these towards you. Of course, Yarley looks at it and shakes her head. I do not follow your strange Eastern or Western traditions, Anvir Ulrishar.
I'm gonna elbow her in the side.
She gives a sharp intake of air, and Ulrishar looks at you, smiling wryly. Well then, at least in this, humor me. Wear this around your neck. It will protect you from a blow which may end your life or your career as a Seflari. Also, these were made by the House of Arvaldi themselves. It is the finest silk from Venelan. It is tough when rolled up, smooth on the skin, and breathable. He offers both of you again the red silk gunlari. And also, it is a part of the competition. Alira Yarle. Within the 11-pointed ring on the day of the Vitana of Ivran, all contestants must wear gunlari regardless of belief, station, religion, or position. Understand this. To not wear one is to be disqualified.
I will graciously accept the Gunlari and give him a nod.
You take the
Thank
red
you.
gunlari from him.
For your instruction, Urishard.
He nods at that. And then, grinning, he steps past the 2 of you, raising one hand over his shoulder. I must now return to the Havare. Envoyer Creuja Vicenti looks to the 2 of you, where he sits in his chair within the pavilion. He's been watching this whole time from under the shade. He grins as he watches the men leave. There goes an astute student. One who has never stopped training even since the day of his victory. He is
The pinnacle of what it means to be Seflari. You could only hope to follow in his footsteps. As he was saying though, it is getting late. Soon shall come the time of Aruyin. Go rest, eat, drink. But remember the codes.
Yes, Onvir.
He stands, stretching his shoulders, smiling. Tomorrow, rest. No rigorous physical activity. No getting ourselves injured.
Understood.
I will arrive at the Havare tomorrow morning to oversee your fasting and to begin the process of spiritual meditation before the Faitana itself. And then he waves both of you off. Go, go. Enjoy the rest of your evening. You have deserved it. For once.
I'll smile.
Yarle takes her hand. Let's go.
Come. Yes.
She clasps her hand in her own. Then the two of you step out of the Sefvare and into the city streets beyond. It has not gotten quieter. The Elevar gets louder at night as the scholars leave the Librum and the priests sing their reginas from atop the great towers. The streets are filled with music, instruments, and the joyous electric fire of that knowledge that soon there shall be a Fatana. The festival is already being prepared for. Bright red lanterns lit atop great stony poles. The streets are illuminated in a deep, voluminous, silky red, which caresses your skin with its glow. And the lights peering from the great towers of the Spiros also have turned red, the panes of glass they shine through being altered and changed. Yarla laughs and smiles as she looks around. Go ahead.
I enjoy Elevar at night. So lively. Much better than Placandor.
Perhaps, once all of this is done, we can make our way at last, she says. Perhaps
Perhaps?
to a
To
bar
where?
or a tavern.
Oh, you want to have some of that. What is it called again?
Salir. Though I do not think they serve it in a Yelavar. She looks a bit glum at that. And then, laughing, she looks around. The stars will be out soon. Will you take me to the ports? I want to sit on the docks, watch the ships come in and out in the evening.
Yes. Let us go.
She takes you under the arm, and then the two of you, guiding each other, go to the pavilion of Alantil. You walk through the bustling crowds, for the sellers crying their wares, until at last you come out along one old-looking, beautiful pier and gaze down upon the light of Arun and the night sky peering over the great waters of the Bay of Alaria. She sits down on the dock, taking off her sandals, undoing her foot wraps and soaking her feet in the ocean as she watches on.
I'll sit down beside her and do the same. Soak my feet in the water, remove my sandals.
It is cooling, pleasant. You can hear the sounds of Yinlas playing their instruments behind you in the pavilion of Alantil. She closes her eyes, turning her head up towards the stars, breathing deep. Soon, you were saying?
What were you saying?
Soon again we can eat meat, red meat, and drink, and fuck all we want. It'll be so nice. And one of us is going to become the Anna Antil, she says.
Yes.
That's not actually the title. Anna Antil is what you receive. The title itself, I believe, is Anavir. Or sorry, Anakir. The title is Anakir. And one of us will be the Anakir.
I look forward to it.
What would you
It
do
would
with
be
your
nice.
winnings?
My
Oh,
winnings.
yes. With your winnings. What would you do with the money, Vanduin?
That is a good question. I've never really thought about the winnings or the money. My
Twi-
family has plenty of it, not to brag, but I
But do
don't
you
concern
have that
myself.
money? Or does your family? 25 golden riller.
That is a lot.
You could buy a ship, sail the sea. You could buy a manse in the tavern. Become a lady of the court.
Ugh.
She grins. I knew that would set you off.
I'd rather go to Mithri or something, anywhere else than Prakandor or the Tovlish courts.
You could buy
Even
the...
Elevar's a little too lively for me. I like the quiet, the wilderness,
Oh?
the outdoors.
She looks to the sea. Have you ever wondered what lies beyond the surf and the wake? Out there in the deep?
I don't know. There could be so many things, so many possibilities. Maybe a black, blasted landscape filled with jagged rocks,
She
tall
looks at you.
spires.
Your imagination is wilder than even mine. She shrugs. I've heard of a place similar to what you've described, though, in the south of Mirkar.
South of Mika.
There is a place. It is rumored to have been where the Great Crossing occurred.
Oh, really?
Yes. Where first the 11 who were promised stepped down and on to the land of the Lesser Dream. It is said that the land there was shattered and riven, broken, blackened by the great conflict of the Primari and the Maugara herself. It should be said that Yorle is maybe Mercari, but she is Venorian in her beliefs. Not one of those who are the believers of Uranarf or the followers of Vamavir or the Hesti.
That is an interesting thought.
I have never seen it myself, but I've heard tell of it. There is a great place where the sea meets the land, and there are many shattered islands that span across a great divide of silt and mist. The land there is dead, blackened, swampy, uninhabitable and infertile to all but the toughest plants.
Sounds horrible.
The Mirkari call it Noreval Gatrash.
What does that mean?
It means the dark hall, which is not. She grins. The Mirkari tend to name things far too literally.
So what did you think of Ulashard? Was he all that you,
I am
expected?
jealous of you. She grins, then pats you on the shoulder. After all, you had him between your legs. She
You're
cackles.
so indecent, Yarla.
She cackles and looks out over the bay. Oh, come on, and you're a fucking prude. Someday you'll let a man inside you, and you'll understand what all the clamor's about. Or perhaps even a woman, she says, pulling you close to her and gripping your shoulder.
I do admit found him rather handsome.
It is that
I'll
chin
grin.
of his, like stone. He
Most tough,
almost. Hmm. Hmm?
most toughish men, they hide their chins behind beards. I do not understand it.
But not him. Perhaps it has something with being a bastard. That makes him even more exciting, honestly. The fact that he is, well, that he holds no property or land. Kind of roguish. She grins.
Hmm. That is.
And his eyes are so strange. Have you ever seen eyes the color of his, like two large plump olives?
What are the color of his eyes again?
They are a deep moss green.
Deep moss green.
Very, very strange, it should be said.
Have I
You
seen
see it
anything
on
else like that?
occasion in the tavern. It is a Tavershy color, but it is rare among the tavern.
I've seen it before. Very few times in Prakandor. It's a Tovrish thing, I believe. Most of them have it.
She nods.
Some of them, rather.
Did you know that the Mirkari think that when a Fami is born, it is because a spirit of the sky has descended and has mated with a Miri woman, the union of Selte and of human flesh creates a woman more beautiful and pure than any other. She is
Oh.
owed partially to the radiance of the sky and partially to the beauty and strength of the land, divided in herself between these two facets of the dream.
Oh, really? And she's one of these. She's a Fami, right?
She is a Famimiri, yes.
So you're saying that you're special? Yalle.
No, I am saying that a man came down from the stars and fucked my mother.
There you go. With that language.
She shrugs. You Alteans have no fancy words. No kralch or shalarch or grashnik. No good words. No murtuf. Or, she says grinning, galak. All these words are quite guttural, and you find that when she swears in her language, it is quite a guttural form of swearing.
I understand not what you say besides the sounds of.
You mimic the Fleming. She looks to you. Oh, nothing. Just, well, the classical insults. Someday, perhaps, if you go to Mirkar, I can teach them to you so you can be accepted as a truly astute woman. No good Mirkari woman is without swearing. It is a staple of our culture.
Perhaps. Maybe.
No perhapses. No more of these indefinites. She then turns around and turns to sit on your lap, staring at you in the eyes. None of them. I will take you to Mirkari someday, and I will teach you the beauty of our language, and, well, we shall explore it together. Of course, only after I become Anakir and have the money to make the trip.
I'll rest a hand on her hip. I do not know what the future holds. I have duties to my mother and back in Prakandor, things that must be done. As much as I want to say yes to go with you, I do not know if it will be so simple.
Do not make me steal you away from your mother. She grins at that and gently wiggles her hips before moving off of you. Come, I tire and I am hungry. Let us go find some food courts along the street leading to our Havare.
Remember, no meats.
She
Red meat.
looks at you, narrowing her eyes. Would you... Would you be a snitch? She says. No, I kid. I will not break the code on the last day. That would be shalarch.
What does that mean?
It means
Tell me.
something which is not to be done. Something wrong.
Shalar.
If
Interest.
something which is well done is something which is sefta.
Sefta. Your words, they have punch to them.
She grins. As do we, she says, hitting you in the shoulder. Come, come. I am famished. And if I have to wait any longer, I shall roast you instead over a fire. Though you shall be gamey, I think. All muscle, no fat.
I'll push her along.
The two
behind
of
her,
you
pushing her
make
on
your
her back.
way slowly towards the street. Until, at last, you arrive on the hill, which leads to your Havare. Yarle looks around, grinning. She goes from cart to cart. You find skewers of spiced fish. These allotted, of course, and allowed. You purchase what you can. And as well, you find, well,
Hmm?
let me see here.
I was going to ask, what else interesting is there as we were walking the streets? Anything that caught my eye?
A lot of it is people preparing for the festival. So mostly what is out and in the streets are sellers selling fashionable wear for the Faitana of Erven itself.
That's
Beautiful red silk robes, silk red gunaris. Red is the color in fashion during the Faitana of Erven. Red, black, and dark greens, it should be said, in that combination.
interesting. Okay. Yeah, I was more like, I was asking, sort of like,
Food-wise?
not just food wise, but just as we're walking, is there anything that stands out with the sellers? I know that's a very broad question, but anything that
If you're looking for
interesting, anything
specifics,
Mercari-ish, even?
anything Mercari? Not in this pavilion, no. Pavilion of Evren, perhaps, or the I would see the Mercari mostly study under the pavilion of. Well, they are in the pavilion of Evren, but most commonly you'll find the Mercari gathering in the pavilion of Alantil. So north
Anything
of you.
Altean?
Altain,
in the
yes. If you go to the pavilions of Nalathira, though you personally, for your worship, go to the pavilion of Galavan. That is where the Altean
Communes, yeah.
commune is.
Little-
It is near to the Spiros Galathan.
But yeah, if I don't see anything along the way, then I will just continue
We
on
will
by the fish.
settle this the way I always settle things. Go ahead and roll. No bonus.
Okay.
I normally roll for interesting things like this.
7.
Alright, would you like to take a reroll or keep? You currently have one reroll.
That'll be rerolling again. I'll go ahead and reroll. Fuck it.
Okay. Go again. It's until 90. Alright, 92. Very well noted. As you're moving along the street, coming at last to the base of the steep road which leads up into your Havare, you find, in fact, an Altean cart, or at least a cartier. The Altean in question is a tall, thin, slender woman wearing the robes of a priestess of Saruna, black, with the trim of grey and the sigil of Kurankar about her neck. She is selling trinkets, or readily, she is selling the, well, religious symbols, arm bracelets, ankle bracelets, necklaces, earrings. Most of these are formed into the different likenesses and sigils of the Primari. She notices you looking and then smiles. Yes. Altea, she says. Come look.
I'll step closer and nod my head to her. Hello. You are a priestess of Saruna, if my eyes do not mistake me.
She nods. A priestess of Saruna, but also a priestess. And in this, I do need to pull up my list real quick. I do not memorize the Primari's names as I memorize the Arcalen's names because they don't come up as often. A priestess too of Rafleon, she says, holding up the silver shimmering symbol of that Primarian figure. The guiding navigation or the guiding force of those who craft and make of of jewelers and silversmiths and of fine facetors.
Hmm. You have some very nice wares here.
She
My mother
nods.
is an adherent of Saruna herself. A magistrate she is, back in Prakandor.
Ah? Who is your mother? She says. Fade away.
Fay away. I'm pulling my notes up. Yeah.
My God.
Fay away Kelenve.
At that, her eyes open a little bit larger, and she nods. You are the daughter of Fairway Caladway.
Yes.
She nods at
yeah.
that.
I'll smile meekly.
She lifts up a sigil at that. You wear the garb of a Seflara. Here, take this. She proffers forward a necklace bearing the symbol of Viraran, he who is the protector of the Primari, he whose wrath and strength and ire against the unveiled foe was unmatched by any other among the 11 who were.
Yes, I will take this. I like it.
You take the Sephra mark on its strange black cord. Wear it for protection, she says, nodding. Let the red fiery lance of Viralan guide your hand in the competition to come, Seflara. It is free
Thank
of
you.
charge.
Free.
She nods. Yarla has not staggered away from, but has moved away from you and is currently consulting with a few other shopkeepers. Eventually, she comes back over to you as you're talking to the woman and puts her hand around your shoulder before bringing up her other hand. You see she has an entire handful of sweetened, honeyed nuts, which she is currently chewing on, spitting out the shells. Gam, Vanduin. Try one. They're sweet and salty.
I'll take one and inspect it.
You inspect it. The shell of the nut is, well, it is quite thick, it should be said. You would have to crack it open with your teeth, but the flesh inside, you know, is going to be soft, sweet, and a bit salty as well. It is a strange curved shape, it should be said. Almost like a crescent moon, but, well, thicker in the middle than on the edges.
I'll take a second to watch how she eats them and then, eat them the same way.
She brings it up to her teeth, holding it in place, then twisting it. The outer casing breaks, and she scoops the flesh of the nut into her mouth, grinning, spitting out the rest of the shell on the ground.
They're quite good.
Take it yourself. You've had them on occasion, here and now, but you don't quite remember how good they were till now. Almost a bit savory, too, the flesh of the nut. She purchased you a skewer of fish, and then a skewer of fish and vegetables, which was cooked over hot coals of Afsel wood. The two of you eat as you move along the street. And then she tugs your hand, moving towards a vendor. It is a clothing vendor of sorts. What stands out is that this one is not proffering the normal red fashion of the Faitana of Evren, but instead a selection of voluminous garments of different beautiful colors of translucent thin cloth.
Oh.
She moves up to the woman at the cart and begins to speak with her. Ah, yes, I would like to purchase that there, she says, pointing at a translucent, beautiful, sky blue gunlari with silver tassels. The two haggle for a second, and then they agree on a price. She steps away, holding it up. She looks at it, through it, up into the light of Adarun, which glimmers through it almost iridescently. And she turns, laughing, to you.
Is she bought a? What did she buy again? It was a.
A sort of a translucent sky blue gunlari with silver tassels around its sort of around the edges of it.
You know what a sky blue Gandhari stands for, do you?
She shrugs and then wraps it around your neck playfully, tugging it. It matches your eyes and your hair, Vanduin. I think it looks good on you. She holds the tassels of it, still wrapped about your neck. As she looks you up and down. And then something changes for a second in the back of your mind. A voice. Rilre. Vanduin. Move. You hear something, screaming, yelling from the top of the street, and you turn to look as a cart is barreling towards the two of you and down the street itself, the horse having broken away, the girth strap shattered.
I'm going to grab Yarley and like tackle her off the side of the street.
You grab Yarre and throw the two of you off the left side of the street and into the grass there. Roll. Okay. The two of you tumble onto the ground hard. She underneath you, the two of you rolling and then detaching from each other. You watch as the cart turns sideways, as its spokes hit the ground, as it flies up and over and shatters. Wine explodes from casts on its back, pouring down the street like pools of blood, going every direction. People are pulling themselves up to their feet, looking around. A great commotion has exploded across the street. Yarle looks
What?
to you a bit stunned.
Oh,
You're a bit dazed
Oh.
yourself.
Are you okay, Yarla?
She
Am I
nods.
okay? I'll check myself too.
A few people are coming up to you to check and see if you're okay. One man steps up to Yarle. Careful there, Siflara. He kneels down, offering a hand to help her rise.
Is anything off with this man?
Not that you see immediately. She looks up at him, then takes his hand, and then you see from behind his back the unsheathing of a knife.
I'm going to rush him and pull my Aruvar.
You pull your Arvar, rushing him quickly. Go ahead, you have your bonuses. He has nothing since you're taking him from behind.
Aruvar is 5.
Alright, 51. You take him in the back. What are you going for here?
So he is. Where is he drawing his dagger from?
He's drawing it from his back, pulling it forward.
I'm going to slit his wrist as he's pulling it, his hand behind his back, right there,
Alright.
so that he cannot get a good
You
grip
step
on the
forward
knife.
and get the Arvar underneath his wrist and turn it. But something hits you from the side, hard and fast, knocking you over onto the ground, sprawling as another man tackles you. This man is now on top of you, reaching with his own knife, trying to stab down at your chest. Go ahead and roll.
Bonuses?
None since you were taken unawares.
Okay.
I rolled a 7, so no. He goes to stab you. You're quicker though. Your move.
I'm going to. So he is behind me, or
He's
this
on
side
top
Where
of
is
you,
he?
trying to stab down at your chest.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to put my Onfora to work and fucking try and put a lock on him, so he can't stab and use his.
Okay, we're gonna
knife
try
arm.
and disable his arm. Go ahead and roll.
Yeah.
You have your bonuses.
My bonuses for Onfora are I don't have that written down, but I think we said 10. So
All right. That's a huge difference, actually. You manage to get your arms around, or both your legs wrapped around his arm. You grab his wrist and pull his arm forward, slamming your legs down, and you hear his shoulder crack as you break his elbow.
I'm going
And
to look
dislocate
up.
his shoulder. He's wearing a black gunlari wrapped about his nose and face, and the rest of his body is covered in red robes of one who is celebrating the Fatana Vevrin.
I'm gonna look up to Yarle. Yarla!
Yarle was already aware of what was going on after this man tackled you and after you went for this man. She's now engaged with that man.
Is this man
Oh.
taken down? Is he?
Yeah. Yarla has taken this man down to the ground and is now punching him in the face over and over and over. You see that his face is turned into a bloody wreck. The knife's fallen away from her hand. The man whose arm you have wrapped, your legs wrapped around, screams. And you see a third man now approaching you, knife in hand. You're intertangled with this man, though.
I'm going to try and quickly knock him out with the butt of the Arvar, like back of the head.
You're going to hit him hard in the back of the head with the Arvar. Go and roll.
Yep.
He has a negative 30. There's not much you can do to stop you here. Okay,
That's
let
supposed
me
to
do
be
the
5.
difference. That's okay. Let me see the difference. Alright. You hit him in the back of the head, which dazes him, but you don't knock him out. The other man is now rushing you, stabbing at your neck. Go ahead and roll. Alright.
Mm.
The other man goes limp as his entire right arm becomes completely unfunctional. You have the first act before this man reaches you with the knife. Your
I'm
reflexes
going
are
to,
much quicker.
I'm going to roll towards that guy who's coming at me with the knife and try and get a lock on his legs and bring him down.
Okay, I'm just going to roll forward, bring your legs around his, and try to knock him down. Go ahead and roll.
Yep.
Okay. Mediocre. All these rolls have been very mid. You roll into him, the two of you barreling each other over, but neither of you seeks purchase. He tries to bring his knife over to stab you in the chest.
Fuck.
Go ahead and roll. That'll be your move.
Another, I think that's a 10. I'm trying
Yes.
to try to roll bonuses.
Okay. He misses, stabbing into the ground as you push up against him.
While his arm is still outstretched with the knife, I'm gonna lash out at it with the Arvar.
Okay. Go ahead and roll.
There's 5. Very
You
good.
bring the Audivard up and around his wrist. You cut through it down to the bone, almost severing the hand completely from his wrist. He screams, blood spraying over your face and over your body. And then Yarla hits him from the side, foot coming up and into his head hard with a very violent kick. You watch as he crumples and falls to the ground.
Any more?
You look around, standing quickly, searching. You don't see any more assailants. No one has noticed your little brawl off the side of the road. They're too busy trying to help up injured people, trying to stop the flow of wine down the street as it stains the cobbles. As though it was a distraction to begin with. Go ahead.
Which of these men are the most lucid?
Not Yarla. We don't know if the one Yarla has hit or not is dead. His face is a pulp. The one you had relinquished is gone now, disappeared. This man on the ground is probably the most lucid, but he's also limp. So, in other words, not awake at all.
I'm gonna inspect him. Yarla, what the
inspect
fuck
him.
has happened?
She gasps, "I don't know." She shakes her hands, bloody.
Are you alright?
"I think I might
Are you
have
hurt?"
broke a finger or two," she says.
Fuck.
And then she sits down hard. Vicente Garros have arrived within the street, wearing the silver sigil of the house and the bright blue clothing of the Garro.
I'm gonna sheathe my Arvar and stuff.
You sheathe your
Yeah.
Audivard after cleaning
Get
it.
myself as presentable as possible as they approach.
None of them are approaching you yet. None of them have noticed you. They're trying to help people in the general street right now. Yarla clasps your shoulder. You notice the blue gunlari is still wrapped around your neck, but now stained with blood. "A waste of money. she says, grinning, panting, and then looks back to the man. I think I killed him. Oh, fuck, I think I killed him.
They tried to kill us.
I've never killed before, she says, her eyes going wide. She's shaking a bit, and then she throws up on you.
Vanduin's eyes also go kind of wide, and I look around at the bodies, doing a double take.
The man beside you is not dead, but the man that Yarla was on top of is no longer breathing. You don't see the riser fall of his chest, even shallowly. Then
How, like...
a few Vicente Garos. Oh, go ahead. You first.
How bad is the vomit and stuff on me? Real quick.
It stinks bad. There's bits of pieces of fish and vegetable in it, but it just stains your robe. Nothing more.
Yeah, I'll kind of like wipe some of it off and then grab Yarla by her shoulders and shake her a little bit and be like, look at me. It's going to be all right.
She shakes again. You see that her left hand is shaking badly and that one of her fingers looks to be displaced.
Be careful with that. Do not damage it anymore.
She looks down at the ground, coughing and shaking. You yourself feel very shaken. Two Vicente Garo men come up beside you and look down at the two assailants. What is going on here?
They tried to attack us after the cart up there.
One of them nods, stepping forward. He kicks the unconscious man over onto his back and then opens his robe, looking around. He turns to his friend. No markings. His friend
There's
nods.
a third one, but he ran off.
Did you see what direction? The other man says in a stout, large accent. His mustache waxed keenly.
Do I see? Or did I see?
No, it could have only, if he had gone away from you, it could have only been north or west.
It could have only been north or west. I was looking in the other direction at the time.
The man steps onto the road and begins barking orders. There is an assailant. And you don't hear the rest as he steps too far away. The other man moves over to the dead man, undoing his gunlari. He looks at the man's face. Ilarish, do either of you two have enemies? Are you alright?
We're alright. We are Setlari for the Vicente Garo. We're going to be participating in the Faitana of Eirvlin coming up. Don't know why they would attack us.
At that, his legs snap together as he goes into a more stout position. He nods, and then he barks orders to his men on the street. Come! We have two to escort! Where is your Havare?
It's just up the hill.
He nods. Me and my men will take you there.
Do these men look trustworthy? They are Vicente Garo.
They are Vicente Garo men. They wear the silver brooches of the Vicente Garo, and they wear blue dark naval blue gunlari, with the blue uniforms of the Garo themselves. They're peacekeepers within Alavar.
About as trustworthy as they're going to get at the moment. Okay.
Well, Vicente is never trustworthy, but these men, in this civil situation, are trustworthy.
Yes. I'm on Team Vicente right now, so.
4 more Garo step up, or 4 more of the Garo step up, and then begin to move you and Yarle towards your Havare as you direct them. Eventually, you come to the gates, and the Seflari outside opens it for you. Go ahead.
As we're walking, I'll try to comfort Yarla.
You do so. You see her other hand is in somewhat bad shape too, swollen. This, of course, being from the beating that she gave the man on the ground. Punching someone in the face rarely leads to a healthy hand afterwards, it should be said. And she went to town on him, eviscerating him. You comfort her as you go. She shakes her head, sobbing. I can't feel my hands, she says. Fuck, I can't feel my hands.
Hopefully they will be fine. We need to get to some medical attention.
At that, one of the Garos steps away. I will bring a Mendacio to your Havare, Siflara.
Please. Thank you.
He moves away quicker. And then the 3 Garos left take you inside the Havare. The Siflari outside, or guarding outside the gate, steps into the gate. Siflara, Should I guard the gate or be nearer to your person? Have you been assaulted? He says, looking a bit chagrined.
Guard the gate. Make sure nobody enters this place.
He nods a bit abashed, and then opens up the gate again and locks it behind him, nodding.
Unless it is other Vicenti Garro. Come, Yarle. Sit.
The two of you come into the foyer chamber of your Havare, a open to the air sort of pavilion with a triangular roof and a stone bench beside it with cushions laid across it. You and her sit down, the other three Garo take up positions near, and then one of them turns. I am going to notify Loten. I will be back soon. The other two nod, and he steps out of the Havare.
Hmm.
The other two men are just cold, quiet, their Saflari blades drawn. They look around, constantly watching. Yarla lays her hands on the table, looking down at them. Blood drips from the knuckles. Two of the knuckles on her left hand have swollen poorly. On the right hand, her pinky and her ring finger are broken, twisted in strange angles. She will not be able to hold a shield nor a sword with these injuries.
I know a little bit of like first aid medicine, right? So can I do
Absolutely.
anything to help? Like,
You can reset
help.
the fingers, and then, but you have nothing to splint them with, and you're not gonna. Well, I guess your own robe is ruined now, covered in blood and vomit. But you don't want to put something like that on the wound. It's not.
No.
It's not safe or sterile. In your room, you have Madasio supplies that you take with you when you go to the pavilion of Athera. But outside of that, you most likely are better off just waiting for a professional Madasio to reset the fingers as well as possible. Time moves by. Go ahead.
I will just sit and comfort her. Do the best I can.
Sit there, comforting her. She sobs. It is strange to see such a tall woman, so proud and strong, brought to tears over something like this, but you understand the deep, intrinsic nature of these injuries and what they mean for her.
Yeah.
She is, of course, of the age of 18. She still could compete within the next year's Faitana Veirin, but that is still another year of work. Another year of psyching oneself up. The damage itself is more psychological than anything. Eventually, Medazio, first, of course, as he was going for first, arrives at the Havare. A pale, stout, Veosi man with skin the color of milk and a pinched, thin face, which speaks of age. He tisks and tithers. As he sets the fingers, Yarla screams as they are set, before splinting them and wrapping them. The blood is washed off the rest of the knuckles, and he inspects all of this in a cold, callous manner that you've come to expect from the Veos. When he's done, he looks to you and to her. Your hands will not be effective for almost 2 weeks. Those bones will heal, and you will not lose or lack mobility as long as you do not damage them further. But they will be out of commission for a while. I suggest you don't drink alcohol, it will increase the swelling. And, of course, stay away from anything rigorous or requiring your hands for a while.
Is there nothing you can do to...
He shakes his head. And he is Veosi, so you know that he is telling you the hardest, coldest truth. No. Unfortunately, she will need someone to help her. At least for a while. I see no other wounds on either of you, so I will take the service, or the payment for her service due, and make my way.
I'll get him his money and send him on his way.
You give him the money he is owed, and then you step out. One second to read something. Then he steps out and away. Then 10 more Garo enter into the Havare. These men are dressed in the carapace armor, the chest guards made of thick boiled leather, and the shoulder guards of personal Vicente guardsmen. Between them stands an imperious, tall figure. He has a twisted, broken-looking face with a metal nose attached by chains around his ears. He looks at the two of you, and then to the Garo behind you.
You have done enough, Sevlari. Return to your post in the city,
Says Loughton as he steps forward.
And why are these two still out in the open? What if they were attacked from range, from rooftop with bow or pipe?
He looks at the two of you.
Do you not have quarters inside the Havare?
We do. Apologies, this all happened so fast.
He nods.
Here, two of you,
He says to his guardsmen,
stand outside their doors. I want two under their windows, and the rest of you around the perimeter. This is a matter of the Vicente house itself.
At that he nods to the two of you.
Well then, quickly.
I'll pick Yarla up.
You
And go.
pick Carla up, helping her along. Eventually, the two of you come into a room. Loughton steps in afterwards, one Garo behind him, and closes it. You've never had a man in your room before. It seems very wrong and very odd. He looks to the two of you, addressing you again.
Tell me, what happened? I have only gotten passing recounts of the attack.
We were standing on the street up the hill to the Havare when a wine cart came barreling down towards us. Seemed a little wild, crazy. The horse had gone mad, and it barreled over right in front of us. I tackled Yarla down the hill, off the road, and that is when three men wearing black Gunlari wrapped around their faces attacked us with knives in hand.
He grimaces at that.
There would only be one family as brave.
Who?
Cervantes. They seek to prune the competition before the competition even begins. How cowardly.
He snarls. And then he turns as there's a clamber in the hallway leading to your room, and you hear the click, step, click, step, click, step, click of a man. Then your Onvir, Grelja, bursts through the door, looking at the both of you.
Both of you. Oh, both of you. All right. I heard there was an attack.
I'm fine, but those Saranti bastards smashed her fingers.
At that, Yarla shakes her head. No, Onvir. They did not smash my fingers. I broke my fingers on one's face. I think I
That is not
might have
correct.
killed him. You did. He is being taken to a morvair as we speak. He shudders, looking at her hands. You cannot grip a sword, can you? She shakes her head, a few tears coming to her eyes. He sits down on the floor, eyes closing. Loughton swears under his breath hard and harsh, and steps out of the room to leave the three of you alone. He begins barking orders to Goddard around him.
I want double the guard. And call for Gulbra. We need to assemble a force. There'll be blood tonight.
You hear the man snarling as he walks away. And at that, Grauja looks to the two of you and then back at the door where the man's left. Pay no mind to him. He catches his breath. Damn. I didn't think the Cervantes would be so bold.
as to strike so close to the Faitana Favorite.
Of course they fucking would.
He nods.
Virlin would not have wanted this. It would have shamed her. This must have come from that bastard child Curios and little his little whore of a niece.
He spits. At that, Yarla sits back on the bed, looking down at her hands.
There will be next year, Yarla. Now this has become fucking personal.
The man says, snarling, "You have never heard him curse before." He looks at you.
Now, this is a matter of blood, Alira.
My expression is very serious, and I give him a very solemn, solid nod.
You will stay in the Havari today and tomorrow. The Garo will guard you. And when the Faitana of Evren comes on the third day, we shall meet it with vigor.
He nods.
Yes. I will not let the Sarantis win this year.
No,
No victories.
I do not give a single rat's ass about who wins the Ana until we just need to make sure that Virlin von Aldet loses and our house disgraced.
He grimaces at that. Anvir Krelj Vicenti turns back to the door, furious as he hits the wall. You watch as the stone breaks against his flesh, a small little crack running through it. The man is nothing if not in shape.
To think that all of this hard work, all of this training could have been for nothing.
He nods at that, and with a vicious snarl.
You need to rest, especially at what happened tonight. I will have food sent to your chambers in the morning. I know you're not supposed to eat, but a few extra calories after the brawl tonight will not be missed. Nothing heavy though, just bread and water. In the meantime,
Thank you.
watch her. Keep your knife near you.
He reaches down at his waist and undoes his own Seflari sword, handing it to you. You have not been permitted a real steel blade to carry on your hip, as you yourself have not been accredited as a Seflari.
Use this if you have to. I hope, I pray to Averin the Fierce that you don't have to.
I hope so as well. Thank you, Anvir. I nod
He
and I take the
nods
sword.
grimly. He then steps to the door and closes it behind you.
I'll set the blade down by the door and head over to Yarle, crouching in front of her.
You
Kneeling.
head over to Yarla. She has tears streaming down her face now that the Anvir has left. I will not be able to participate. I have spent the last year of my life squandering away all this for nothing.
It was not for nothing.
It
There
was.
will be next year. And all of that training, all of that hard work, it doesn't go away.
She nods,
It is
looking
still
down at her
within you.
hands. She shudders at that and sobs quietly.
Look. I will win this and make sure that Saranti fuck does not. For us, the both of us.
She nods at that, placing her head between her knees, bringing her hands up above her neck, but not clasping them as she can't. I am tired, Vanduin. I killed a man today, she says again. I watched as his nose caved in, as his eyes swelled, as he coughed up blood, and I kept hitting him over
Yarla,
and over.
enough. Do not think on it. I'll move over to her and kind of wrap an arm around her,
Okay.
sit beside her on the bed.
You move over to her, wrap your arm about her as she shakes. You yourself feel fucking exhausted. She leans against you, sobbing a bit, crying. And then she looks down at your robe. I have ruined your robe.
No. Not you.
There is blood and vomit on your clothing. You become acutely aware of it and the smell of it. It's disgusting.
I need to get changed.
She nods.
Here, take this. And I'll, yeah, lift your head.
She lifts her head, looking up at you.
I'll take the necklace of Viroron that I purchased and put it around her neck.
She looks
This
down at
will,
it, a bit of surprise in her eyes. Go ahead.
this will keep you safe while I'm gone. And while I'm at the Phaeton.
All
Keep it with
all your clothing is in your room, which is where you are right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask her to move or leave or anything. I'm just going to change in front of her. I don't mind.
Yes. You change, sliding into night clothes. Well, if you're going to sleep, you wouldn't wear anything. Or are you changing into clothing? What are you doing?
I'll wear a nightgown. Yeah.
You have something filmy, almost
Yes.
translucent, but it's still better than nothing. You put that on, then make your way back over to your bed. She's curled up on it, staring out your window at the moon as it rises in the sky. She still has tears on her cheek, trembling a bit. She does not seem okay. Short move.
How is she also covered in blood and
She has
that stuff?
blood, or the blood was already washed off by the Mendacio. Her clothing is stained, though. The hem of her robe and her front still having a bit of dried blood on it. Short move.
Everything will be alright. Promise you. I know it will be.
She nods. I want to sleep, Vanduin.
Me too. Come, let's get you changed.
You help her undress. Her body is soft. The places where she's not heavily muscled, smooth, and covered in black tattoos which weave about her breasts, her hips, her stomach. She has the image of a grasp across her back, rearing up as its arms move across her shoulders. You see the sephiral symbols of the Ildine as well, woven across her sides and her hips. Gently, trembling, shaking, she lies back down on the bed, staring up at the ceiling. To a move.
Slide into the bed next to her.
Slide into the bed next to her, close to her. She closes her eyes.
Just sleep.
She nods.
Rest.
You yourself feel the world getting heavy. She trembles, but eventually, as you sit there, the well-lit chamber of the moon is getting its light into. You watch as she at last falls asleep. You yourself find that similar embrace not too far after. Last thoughts before you head into that realm of dream are about the attack this day.
Thank you, Ray.
Ray nods, her little form coming to the surface, gliding across your cheek just in front of your eye. We are one, after all. Your
Me
life
and you.
and mine. But perhaps I could do more for you next time, if you willed it.
I will not answer that.
You feel yourself sliding away into sleep. and then at last it takes you, and you fade into dream. And that is where we will end that for now.